The government expects no huge impact on Hong Kong restaurants should it ban the import of aquatic products from certain areas in Japan. In Ukraine, President Zelensky says the counteroffensive has begun as Canada pledges new military aid. Good evening and thanks for joining us. With Japan preparing to release nuclear wastewater into the ocean this year, the Secretary for Environment and Ecology said the SAR will ban the import of high-risk aquatic products from along the Fukushima coastline. But Tsai Ing-wen believes the strict measure will not impose a huge impact on Hong Kong restaurants. Mo Seng-ai reports.
The operator of Fukushima Daiichi Nuclear Power Plant, TEPCO, will discharge treated and diluted nuclear contaminated water into the sea. To ensure food safety and public health, Secretary for Environment and Ecology Tsai Ing-wen stressed authorities will ban risky Fukushima imports. The SAR took a similar measure after the Fukushima nuclear accident in 2011. Speaking on the TVB program, Tsai mentioned that Japanese food products only account for 2% of the city's aggregate food imports, suggesting any potential ban will not affect local Japanese restaurants.
If you're talking about the aquatic products, share about 6.5%. In terms of percentage, it's not very large, yeah. And therefore, I believe, the impact to the entire food supply in Hong Kong would be manageable. Of course, I know that in Hong Kong we have quite a number of Japanese restaurants, etc., and they're very popular, yeah. And therefore we are maintaining close communications with the associations, so that they are aware of Hong Kong government's position and get prepared, to see alternative supply of their food materials.
When asked about how authorities can assure residents that Japanese food products are safe, Tsai said they will double-check the items.
Even if the food will arrive in Hong Kong, we'll arrange local testing to ascertain before we allow them to be sold in the market.
Meanwhile, authorities will soon have a midterm review of the two big power companies, CLP and Hong Kong Electric. They said they will discuss the current blackout penalty system, aiming to make it more reasonable. Moreover, he hopes the two power companies can bear the social responsibility and share the costs with residents when or if an international energy crisis happens. Mo Seng-ai, TVB News.
Secretary for Health Lo Chung-mau once again called on the city to put in place a regular cross-border organ donation mechanism to save lives. The so-called second-tier mutual assistance mechanism would allow organs donated in Hong Kong or on the mainland with no suitable recipient to be matched across the border. Lo made the appeal while attending an event that marks the China Organ Donation Day in Shanghai. In his speech, the health chief noted the nation's organ transplant response system has been highly recognized by the World Health Organization. He noted that last year, the mainland saw the highest total number of organ transplants, involving some 5,600 deceased donors in Asia, and ranked second in the world last year. On the contrary, Hong Kong only records about 30 deceased donors annually, much lower than the 2,600 patients awaiting organ transplants. A member of the Chief Executive's Policy Unit expert group warns of the negative impact of the Hong Kong dollar's peg to the US dollar. Francis Lui, a member of the 56-strong CE think tank and an emeritus business school professor at the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, spotlighted the de-dollarization trend in a radio program today. He said as Sino-US tensions persist, it's highly possible that trade or financial wars would ensue, and chances are not slim of a military conflict. But he believes the Hong Kong dollar won't unpack anytime soon. This as the Chinese yuan accounts for less than 3% of global reserve portfolios, with Lui adding there are no good alternatives to the US dollar. So he said the city should prepare for uncertain times and strengthen its role as an offshore renminbi business center. Honduras has opened its first embassy in Beijing. The two countries have moved closer together recently when Honduras cut ties with Taiwan. The two foreign ministers shook hands as Qin Gang welcomed his counterpart, Eduardo Enrique Reina. China launched its mission building in Honduras last Monday. The relationship began in March when Honduras broke off relations with Taipei. This, the 182nd country to develop diplomatic ties with Beijing. 3 British guardsmen collapsed overcome by heat in training for a military parade known as a Colonel's Review. The rehearsal in the presence of Prince William involves 1,400 soldiers of the Household Division and the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery. 1 guard was helped off the square while 2 others needed stretchers to help them off the parade ground. Temperatures were over 30 degrees Celsius on Saturday. The tunics are woolen and the hats bearskin. William later tweeted his appreciation to those who took part in the rehearsal. Still ahead, Donald Trump blasts his federal indictment as ridiculous and baseless. Locally, the flattened yellow duck undergoes tests in Changi and will soon be back on display. And the Filipino community in the city celebrates in advance of the 125th anniversary of the Philippine independence. Welcome back. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has criticized the federal indictment against him as baseless in public comments on Saturday. Speaking in 2 southern states, Trump ramped up his rhetoric against the Justice Department over what he calls a politically motivated campaign to keep him from the White House. Matthew Bray reports.
An indictment unsealed Friday claims the former president mishandled classified documents after leaving the White House in 2021. The 37-count indictment is unprecedented and comes as Trump is the clear front-runner for the Republican presidential nomination. Trump in Georgia and North Carolina for GOP state conventions had this to say.
We did absolutely nothing wrong. Take a look at the Presidential Records Act. We did it by the book. Perfect. Except we have thugs and creeps running this country, and it's a real problem for our country. Yes. But we're going to straighten it away, we're going to win the election big, and we're going to clean up the mess, and we're going to clean up the cancer, because that's what we have.
Trump told Politico that he will continue to run for president even if he were convicted. Most of his rivals for the GOP nomination accused the U.S. Justice Department of political bias, reflecting their fears of upsetting Trump's core supporters. Speaking at the North Carolina State Republican Convention, Trump alleged that incumbent Democrat President Joe Biden orchestrated the criminal charges.
The baseless indictment of me by the Biden administration's weaponized Department of Injustice will go down as among the most horrific abuses of power in the history of our country. I think it already is.
Trump is due to make an appearance at a federal court in Miami on Tuesday. Matthew Bray, TVB News.
The president of Colombia has visited the 4 children who survived in the Amazon jungle for 40 days after a plane crash. The children are said to be in good health considering their ordeal. Gustavo Petro and First Lady Veronica Alcocer thanked military personnel and hospital workers on arrival. Then inside, Petro went to the beds of the quartet, who are aged 3, 9, and 4 years, and one is just 11 months old. They were rescued after a massive search on Friday. The children survived on a basic knowledge of rainforest fruits. They are being rehydrated and cannot eat full meals yet. They are expected to stay in hospital for 2 weeks. Back locally, the flattened duck from the Double Ducks exhibition in Victoria Harbour was re-inflated in Changi earlier today. Some onlookers were left disappointed by its absence from the waters of Central. Amid the drizzle, scores of residents and tourists braved the wet weather and visited the Lone Duck to take pictures and selfies at the Central and Western District Promenade. Yesterday, due to the rising air pressure from the hot weather, organizers decided to deflate one of the birds as the material was overstretched. The deflated duck was then towed away to a shipyard in Changi where it was re-inflated. The repaired duck underwent numerous tests in response to the recent weather and will soon embark on a journey to rejoin its twin. The local Filipino community today celebrated in advance the 125th anniversary of Philippine independence with a series of dances and parades in Central. Veronica Lin was at the event.
Tomorrow marks the 125th anniversary of the Philippines' independence from Spanish rule in 1898. Today, hundreds of Filipinos gathered on Charter Road in Central for what is dubbed the Kapangyawan Friendship Festival, an event organized by the local Filipino community alongside the Consulate General of the Philippines. The word Kapangyawan was derived from the Cantonese word of pangyao, which means friend. The day-long festival showcases the rich culture, heritage, and music of the Philippines. It also features an array of cultural parades.
Participants in the parade, most of whom are domestic helpers, are making the most of the day off by celebrating with friends ahead of Independence Day.
We are representing the South Cotabato. It's the southern Philippines, so we are the Tiboli dance. We use this for our native Filipinos there in the southern part, for example, for weddings, for harvest. So we are offering to the gods.
Having worked in Hong Kong as a domestic helper for over a decade, Pagayonan says she's been very fortunate to have had great employers and praised the government for its fairness. She is among some 200,000 Filipinos working in the city as domestic helpers.
I'm so proud of them because it allows Hong Kong women, just like you, to work and be part of the Hong Kong society and contribute. So overall, our contribution as a national here in Hong Kong, as a foreign national here in Hong Kong, is very positive. It allows Hong Kong to grow, and I think Hong Kong will not be Hong Kong without us.
When asked about ways to ensure domestic helpers' safety and well-being, Rally Tejada said the consulate staff are here to help 24/7. He added that the consulate is working closely with the Hong Kong government to continue uplifting the local Filipino community and improving the working conditions of domestic helpers. Veronica Lin, TVB News.
The Urban Renewal Authority plans to revitalize 6 gardens and sitting out areas around Hong Kong's Shandong Street. The body is currently considering installing fitness machines and equipment in some of these facilities. Timothy Lee tells us more.
This garden, located on Mong Kok's Thistle Street, contains some leisure and fitness equipment. Albeit dated, these exercise machines remain frequented by residents during the holidays, particularly elderly people. This man said the machines here are not that old, but he thinks that the current equipment fails to attract any young people. This woman, on the other hand, said she is satisfied with the equipment. But several of these neighborhood gardens in Mong Kok are set for an upgrade as part of the Urban Renewal Authority's revitalization plan known as the Nano Parks Project. The gardens are located on several streets, including Shanghai Street, Reclamation Street, Nelson Street, and Thistle Street. Wai Chi Sing, managing director of the Urban Renewal Authority, noted in a blog post that Mong Kok currently has 20 small rest gardens that are scattered across the region and only offer simple facilities. In a bid to improve them, the URA plans to renovate the aging facilities and make additions such as increasing the number of water fountains and installing new fitness equipment. The URA will also refer to the mainland's smart parks, which have incorporated smart fitness machines that can record their users' cardiovascular data before sending the information to their respective phones. The Urban Renewal body also suggested renovating the Thistle Street Rest Garden by including some fun elements so that the area could be used to host urban sports activities. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.